Hello, good day everyone. My name is Afans Val. So today I think we'll be looking at a little about introduction to HTML. It has been a while. I wish I could have done this video, but I took my exam, master's exam, and few other things taking my time. So there are still other works I'm working on. Unfortunately, even this PowerPoint, I'm just studying some of those things. This video editing, I'm just studying most of them recently. Then I've been diving deep into React Native and the rest of them. So, not wasting time, there are some certain things we like to look at. So, whenever we have mentioned HTML, was one of the ways I'm trying to organize this video. So, this HTML is that I want us to do it in a way that everybody can follow, everybody can code. Once you follow the procedures, what we are doing. So, we are going to be looking at some resources, materials that will guide you. These are some ways I studied when I was learning, and I'm thinking of the fastest and the simplest way of making it possible that you can grab whatever that is involved in creating a simple website. So today we'll be focusing majorly on this HTML. So first of all, I believe that all of us know what HTML is all about. So that's the first question we need to ask ourselves. So, but before we start going into things that have to do with that, so there's a question, another thing that is important we look at, which is what is HTML and why is it important? So because I think we have been hearing HTML, 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 and we need to understand it very well, knowing why it's important. So HTML and whatever and how it looks like. So from diagram you can even see, I think this person is just into programming new, just thinking about it. What was HTML? I think he's thinking of trying to sketch out maybe one or two things about a website, a web page, how you can create something useful from it. So now we will try to understand some basic factors behind it. So first of all, looking at it, I think we have HTML, what is needed to create a simple website. So whenever we are saying, even though we have not defined the HTML, but we know that whenever we are thinking of creating a website, it's not only about HTML. So there are three basic factors. There are more, but I believe for me, I say that there are three we can even start with. So we have this HTML, we have CSS, we have JavaScript. So whenever we are talking of this HTML, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Hypertext what? Markup language. So I may not be diving deep into the definition, whatever, but we'll practicalize most of the things. So when we say hypertext and the markup language, so hypertext means that something that we can be able to click. You understand? Something that takes us to another page that can be able to link us to another page and the rest of them. So CSS, when you do anything on HTML alone, you may not be able to get any design on it. It's just the skeletal aspect of whatever you are doing. So you can just put up text, put up certain things the way you like. So, but whenever we are bringing in CSS, like this shirt I'm wearing, the person that makes it initially found that there was no all these colors we are seeing in it, designs in them. It just plain. That is HTML for you. But the CSS come and say that this shirt looking plain does not may not make that sense or anything. So they will feel like let us put some touch of text styles in it and all these things to make it look tush. So that's the major thing that CSS is doing. So in our web page or even looking at this design, so when we write all this content normally just HTML, but what CSS enables us to start styling things we have here, positioning them, arranging them, and many other things. So that's the major work we must understand concerning CSS. So JavaScript is helps to put interaction in, you understand, to make it a kind of what we like call for one definition we have what JavaScript is a client scripting language which is used for creating web page. So like we say scripting. So the interactive aspect of it is what JavaScript looks at. But when we talk about JavaScript now, JavaScript has gone wide. It's no longer all about this front end aspect of it. We now have the back end, which is the Node.js, which can power a complete server for us. So as we go on, I think we'll be looking at some of these things. So we're just looking at some PowerPoint to understand some basic things we're about to do. So another thing that is important whenever we are thinking of creating a simple website or whatever. Now we find that Bootstrap have come into play. Bootstrap has been there for a while now, and I think that is doing well. And one of the benefits is that I think it makes our site looks wow. One, Secondly, it speeds up our development. Whatever we are doing, it speeds it up, makes us to complete our task as soon as possible. So above all, the major reason I see in Bootstrap is this responsive aspect of it. So in the initial those days before, you find that whenever you are creating anything website, you have a lot of work to do. You have to start considering series of browsers. You consider Opera menu, you consider Mozilla, you consider Chrome, you consider Edge, Internet Explorer. So you consider all these things. You may do a site in this browser. On checking it on the next browser, it may not look the same. Then when you try to scale it to different devices to make a kind of when you are adjusting your browser, you find that it's giving you another result. So Bootstrap came out and they came up with a way of solving this issue. That now once you are building anything, it's targeting mobile because today's environment or today's generation we know majority of sites is being viewed using most of my handheld, which are phone, tab, and the rest of them. Hardly do you see people now that when they want to browse, check things on the internet and rest of them, they start opening system. So people most of the times are with their smartphone. What is this? You can just go Google it, browse it, open the web page. So now we have more need, and it's very important that we now do what? Focus more on that handheld, which are phones, tab, and the rest of them. You understand? So that's one of the things that Bootstrap came and solved. That first of all, as we are building our sites, is targeting what? That responsive aspect of it to make sure that it fits very well in phone. When it comes to tab, we adjust our sites to fit very well in tab. When it comes, we adjust it to fit very well in any other devices, whether laptop, as you scale, anyhow you want it. So Bootstrap has been there, has been doing great work, and have solved a lot of problems. So first, I think that we may not cover much in Bootstrap today, but in our subsequent videos, we will now look deep into this Bootstrap to understand how we use it, combination, joining it in our work. So lest I forget, this Bootstrap is simply what a framework for CSS. So it helps, it's designed, built on top of the CSS. So to help us achieve all this quality, fast design without waste of time. And it makes use of a lot of components or classes, depending on what you want to call it. So which we will still go dive in to understand most of these things. So as time goes on, I believe that we are going to look at some of those things to understand the concepts that are important in them. So thank you. I think next thing we'll be trying to look at is what? Requirements. Requirements. Whenever you say that I want to create a website, I've been seeing people creating websites, I've been seeing all this, seeing that. So it's very important that we understand what some basic requirements we need for us to kick off. So one of the things now we found that for me, I divided into two. One, we have the browser aspect of it, and we have the text editor. So when we come to browser, we find that you cannot be designing a website without you previewing your work, checking what you are doing to see how it's looking, how whatever as we are working, because you can that's how it works. So now there are many browsers out there, but for me, whenever we are trying to work on all this website development, design, and all this, I recommend Chrome. Chrome is majorly for developers. It helps you as we go on deep into this study. You'll find that I will explain the reason why I choose Chrome and why most developers go with it. But that does not stop you from using things like Mozilla, Opera Menu, Microsoft Edge. Edge have done a lot of work of recent in the browser. So I think you can still check it out. But browser matters a lot. So Chrome can still go on, start with Chrome. Let's see how it goes. So at the same time, we have text editors. Text editors means what? As we are thinking of start writing, whether we have mentioned HTML, we have talked of CSS, we need to write them in some way. And the environment we write them is called this text editor. Just like our normal, when we are typing our normal project work or anything we are doing, we think of Microsoft, our text documents. So the same thing when we are writing code, when we are working on developing any web mobile application, whatever we think of, we need a text editor. So we have an inbuilt one that normally come with the system, which is simple notepad. I believe every system has that notepad, and it's very simple that you can just type. I think if I should check it, uh, okay, so let's leave that one. So one of the things we'll try to achieve, okay. So let's go back and finish up. So before I think as we go on, I will explain some certain things concerning this text editor. So now we minus that notepad, which is the inbuilt one the system comes with. We have some other ones, third parties, the applications that we can as well download, install into our system and make use of. So one of them is this Notepad++. We have brackets, we have Sublime Text, we have Atom, we have VS Code. So for me, I think when I started with a Notepad++. That's why I'm placing it as the number one. It helps me a lot because one of the benefits of using that Notepad++ for me is that it shows me the whatever I'm working on. I will make use of it so that you will understand some of these things. It tries to guide me with whatever I'm doing. It helps a lot. So as we go on, we need to understand some of these things to be able to achieve whatever. So looking at this desktop, find that I'm currently on this Notepad++. When I click on it, there are things we can check out. I think it's opening. So for me, one of the things I love so much in this, it doesn't make your work simple, but it forces you to do majority of the work. That's one of the things. You don't activate the intelligence so that it doesn't, so that it helps you. So even when I'm coding now, I can write a simple HTML and I close. Uh, I will still come back and explain what we are doing, but I just want to show you one thing about this Notepad++. I have HTML. I have something called head, HEAD. So I close. So one of the benefits I think I love so much about this Notepad++ is simply based on what, as I'm working, I can now save this work by selecting the language and say that we have many languages here. I'm working on HTML. It takes note of that. So now you have taken notes. If I click on this, it's showing me whether I'm closing any tag I open or not. I have HTML. When I click, it shows me very clearly whether I'm closing it or not. So as I'm working as a novice, starting up or whatever, I need to make sure, because these are the things we'll be looking at, that any tag we open, we close. Any tag we open, we close. So I believe as time goes on, we're going to look into some of these things to understand. Not that other softwares, other this thing does not do it so, but problem is that sometimes it doesn't, how will I call it, show it very well. You understand? It's just a little sign of it. You find it difficult to be able to trace certain things and rest of them. So for me, my own opinion, that's why I recommend. So, but as we go on to check out other ones, we found out I will say have brackets, we have Sublime Text, we have Atom, VS Code. So another one I recommend, which is the boss or the strongest among, or for me, on my own opinion, I think VS Code. So VS Code is widely used by a lot of people, developers, programmers, but it's professional in nature. These ones, other ones are still okay, very perfect. So VS Code for us, I think in the process of this work, we'll still make use of them, test them out, know what they are talking about and the rest of them, which is very important. So now this is a basic HTML code. We'll try to understand what is happening here, which is very important. So when we say basic HTML, there are some important factors we need to look at. So number one, what's one of the things we need to concentrate and understand in this place is what? First of all, we'll have what are so sorry. Looking at this, so one of the things we will look at is first of all, we'll have Doctype HTML. So this is the first element I think we can see here. I'm sorry for this thing I'm painting on top of it. So when we say this Doctype HTML, we find that there are some important things we need to understand in HTML. HTML has been there for a long period of time. We have different versions of HTML. HTML4, 4 points, series of 4.2, 4 points, series of 4 points. Then currently we're in HTML5. So this HTML5, which is the latest that we are still working on, people are developing their websites, whatever they are doing on currently. So now we need a way to let the browser or whatever that is interpreting our code to know that what we are working on currently, we want to write HTML5. So the only way we can be able to tell the system that we are working on HTML5 is by adding this doctype HTML. Remember this exclamation mark that is here. So we need to add it first. That's the first line we're going to see in our code. As we dive in, we'll still look into it. So that as the system is about reading from up to down, any interpreter is about to break down our code, it will first of all meet this Doctype HTML and say, okay, I'm aware that now you're working with HTML5. So omitting it, the system can interpret any other thing. So that's the first thing we know. Then another important thing we take note is what? HTML, which is the hypertext markup language. So mean that every other work we are doing must be enclosed inside it. So make sure that every other code does not fall outside this HTML. And there is a rule guiding this HTML, how principles we follow, that every tag we open must be closed. I know we have not talked about tag, but every tag we open must be closed. So when I say tag, what do I mean by a tag? So we found that we'll have this less than and greater than sign that in which we wrote this HTML inside. This less than and greater than. So anything that has less than greater than is a tag. So the elements or whatever we have inside it is the name of the tag. Like this one, I called it HTML tag. Looking down here, what we have here is head tag, because we have this less than and greater than inside this head tag. The same way we have title tag, we have meta. We'll still come down to this. We have body tag. So that's why we are saying that any tag we have, we make sure that we close it. So since we said that HTML is the parent of every other content we have, mean that other ones are children to this. So that's why we open, we close. Other content are expected to do what? To fall inside of this HTML CSS, which is very, very important inside this HTML tag. Sorry. So now we have inside this HTML tag, there something we must know is divided into two. So we have the head section and we have the body section. The head section and the body section. The head section, for my own understanding, I see it as the brain that solve the logic, everything, and knows whatever that should come in within the body. So this head, a lot of things are being processed that will now display whatever we need in the body. So concerning a particular web page. So I will try to know if we can throw in more light to it so that we can. So looking at this this browser, I found that I just opened the simple, what do I call it? Simple web page. This is YouTube. So in this YouTube now, for me, when I say the head section of it, so all these parts we are looking at, all these areas, starting from this link, whatever we see here, all these contents up, all these things up, at the head section concerning this page. So they try to process certain things concerning whatever that will be displayed within this section that we are seeing. All these particular section are the body in which the whole design, the website, anything we are designing is coming. So this head contains some important things like one, we have the title aspect of it. So whatever we are browsing and the rest of them. So the meta also process at the background of it to take note, to run certain things concerning that those page. So other things we see in the head, which we are going to look at, we also see things like link. If we are linking to external style sheets, linking to any other documents that matters and the rest of them. So these are some important things we also take notes. We do see in that aspect. So head and body are two separate things. Anything in the head will not display on the screen, while anything in the body will display on the screen. So back to our simple code we wrote. So now we find that we have something like this title, we have meta. As we go on, we'll try to explain most of these things. So we have link, like I said, these are things we'll see within the head. So mean that any content, anything within this head is not going to display on the screen. So the only thing that they run internally, they process to determine what will show within the body, what the web page will display, and they display the content of that web page using this body inside this body tag. So in body tag, since like we have been saying, it is what it helps us to push out whatever we have concerning a particular web page, so that viewers, users can see and be able to make use of, interact with it. So mean that anything within this body tag is what visible on the screen. We have our simple H1 tag. I've talked about tag. So mean that as we are looking at this H1, since you have this less than and greater than sign, it is called what? Tag. Like I said, any tag we open, we make sure that we close. So we can close tag whether we like it, maybe a multi-line, meaning that I wrote it in this line, I'm closing it another line, or we maybe still in the same line, single line. So depending on the content you have in that tag. So content means anything that comes in between the opening and closing tag is the content of the tag. So this one is a P tag, like the name implies. So the content is what? My first paragraph. So we are closing it comfortably. So the body is holding these two contents, these two elements. We have this H1 tag and we have this P tag. So these are the two things we expect that will display on the screen. So now we'll move over to our browser to check out some of these things we'll be doing to understand it better. So now we are I'm now in a text editor. I'm back to my notepad before we go to the browser so that we can do a little work to see what is happening. So I want to wipe out what I've written before. So now, whenever we are trying to start, like we said before, what are we going to start? When we're thinking of anything, web page and the rest of them. Remember, I would say that we should do what? We'll create what we called Doctype. And what did I say this Doctype means? HTML. So like I said, I don't know whether you can see it, so I will try to zoom it out to know if it's visible to you. So I believe that by now, this one, it should be visible. So we have this Doctype HTML in which our first line of code is our first line of code. So as an interpreter, whatever that is processing this, will first see it before going to line 2. And it will take note that what we are trying to write here is HTML5. That's what we are working with. So next thing we'll now have is what? We'll have a simple HTML. So this is HTML tag. We do what? We close. Anything we open, that's the secret. We try and close it immediately so that I don't forget. So we have our normal HTML. Remember that we said that what? Everything we are doing we should make sure that all of them comes inside this HTML tag. Every other work we are going to do work on, every other things we're going to write, whatever we're going to must come inside this HTML tag. So then I mentioned initially that inside this HTML tag, it's like two segments. We have the head section, like human being. We have the head. We have the body. The head contains those brain, those things that may process in abstract manner or whatever. Then the body is what we are seeing. Like my body, you are seeing this pink shirt, you are seeing my eyeglass, all these things that are visible. So, but the head is something within the brain for my own understanding. So first of all, create that head, which is what? HEAD. And at the same time, we do what? Close. We close by putting this slash sign, HEAD. So that's how we close. We open. We close by adding this slash to our work. That's the same thing we did. We added this slash to close the HTML. So now we have the head inside the HTML. Another important thing we now have is what? We move down. Just like a human body, you see the head, you have to move down before you start seeing the body. So these are under what we are a kind of procedure, the way I understand or the way I think it should go. You should try and understand in your own way. So I have what? The body. And remember that I was saying that whenever we open, we do what? We close. So I put this slash before writing body to close. The line of space you give does not matter. If you want, you can give anything, any amount of space. The spacing is yours, your choice. It doesn't count. The code knows that I'm just considering one line. Whether you give 1 million line of space or you push it down, up and down, whether I push it down like this, it's not seeing it. It just take one line. That's what the code will end of the day process. So, but we space it out to help us understand it well, not to make us just your own choice. It's your choice, depending on how you want it. So now I have this head, I have the body. So it's my choice by giving this spacing on my the way I want. So another thing we'll be looking at now is what? The title. So head, I will look at some of the things that comes within the head. The head, things that can process in an abstract manner of this. And remind you that I mentioned something when I was doing what we are doing here. Like we look at this, we find out we have something like vlook, simple, simply explained. We have this git tutorial, what is GitHub, and rest of them. So this is like title of this different web page, which we should take note of. If we open a new tab, the title is just new tab. We have because we have not typed in anything yet. If I type anything like facebook.com and load it, you find that the title will change to what Facebook displays, because depending on what details these people gives it, so it's their own choice. So I can type maybe Facebook generator. I can click on any one. So this site, okay, I think it's loading. So this site has a title called what? This favicon and app icon generator. That's what they gave it. So we'll try today to understand how these titles are being given. That's the first thing I want us to look into. So first of all, in achieving it, we come within the head. These are the things we see in the head section. We'll type what? HTML. Sorry. We'll type title. And anything we open, we do what? We close. Title. So we open title. We are comfortable closing our title. So now we have closed the title. Anything inside it is what we show. I can say something like, what's my first uh, small letter first HTML class. So these are a simple title given to our work. So unfortunately, we have not saved our work. That's why it's still red. Whenever we're using Notepad++, we'll see this color. If we save it, we change to blue color. So depending on the editor you are working on. So most other editors, I think they have this dot. When you have not saved, when you save, the dot will disappear. So now we'll try to save. I now recommend something. I think in the last video I did, a kind of, there's something we looked at. And one of those things we looked at is what? Whenever we are about starting a new work, we can go to the location we wish to have the work. We create a new folder. Give it the folder the name we wish to have it. I can call this folder val. Should I call it my name? Or I should call it Makus. Or let me call it any distance, something that is reasonable. Okay. Unizik. So Unizik is the name of a school. So Unizik. So I can now save. When I open this folder I created, there are some basic folders that I should have inside of it. So one of those folders I'm expected to have is what? I can have my images folder, so that any image that is required for this work, I store it inside this images folder. Another thing I'm expecting to have is what? CSS, like we said, we will end up they need some CSS to work with to make this work make sense. So I'm thinking another important uh, folder we can need is JS. So that once we start working with our JS, we'll make use of it. So outside there is where we have our HTML codes, depending on the one in which we are currently working on one already. So we can now try to save this either by clicking Ctrl X or going here, click on Save As. It will pop up. I will now select my location, desktop. Inside desktop, I have a folder called Unizik. So inside this place now I can save. So since this is my first document, and I want once I moves remote, it goes online, people, this is the first page people can easily access, that can we access first. So I want people to first of all, whenever they type the name of my site, for this particular page to load first. So that means I will have to save it with index then .html, which is what we are working on. Index.html. So this index means that whenever somebody is trying to access the files in this folder we created, this Unizik, long with first of all look up and check, is there anything like index? If there's anything like index, it will open it first before any other thing. So that's the simple explanation to it. So we can save now. Once we have saved our documents. So I think next thing we'll do what we preview. So some other editors like brackets, you can find that you will see the preview button by this corner. I think you can just click, it takes you straight to browser. There are many other editors that does it that way. They have it in different location. So, but I myself, I prefer going back to the folder, this work, I can just double click on it to load. So use this to my default. It must not, it doesn't mean that you must do this. So now you find that the title we gave this work, my first HTML class, is showing. Wow, 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 we are getting it. So this is the title we wrote there and it's showing. So mean that if we have the head section and one of the things we see in this head section is the title. So for now we will uh, pen the other things that are required within the head. So let's look at the body. So like we said the body now, I can say how are you? How are you? When we save it, what do you expect? If you go back to our words, our browser and refresh, we are going to see this how are you. That's another important aspect you must note. We see it because of what we are writing. I said it initially that anything within this body section must show on the screen. So the body is like from here down. The head is like from this line we are seeing here up at the head section of it. So thank you. I think we are getting it small small. So another thing now we do is end of the day we're not just going to have content. So we are going to have multiple contents, making it look like at least a complete website like what we are seeing. At least even though this one is not fine that much, but you see that contents are arranged. We have series of contents. So that will lead us to another tag called div. So we'll try to talk a little about this div. So this div simply means division, in which in our work we will try as much as possible to divide our contents to position them the way we want them, arrangement, placing them, and these things is achieved using div. So we have other block elements we still make use of. So that's why we're not talking about anything about block elements, but now we're trying to look at div. But we cannot achieve this with div alone. That's where CSS will start coming in little and gradually into this work. So trying to understand a little about this div. What do we think about div? So div is simply what, like I said, it can be square, rectangular in shape or whatever you think of. Can even make a circle. So end of the day, how we position them using CSS. So like in this example now, I think we have a very simple div. We have multiple divs in this work. When we say multiple divs, I will try to explain. So looking at this simple explanation, trying to understand this div, diving deep into it. So I found that this is a simple web page that I just cropped. Looking at this web page, there are a series of division in it. I think let me start showing the divs we have in this place. So I think we are having this first section, which is a div in a rectangular manner. We find that this thing I'm showing here is like the first div and it's taking a complete 100% width. At the same time, coming down here, I think we're having another div that goes this way. So the arrangement of this does not matter, it's just your choice how you want to arrange yours. So, but you must be careful as you are arranging it. I think we have another div, the way they used it in this work, that goes this way, that capture this. You find that is most of the times they make use of rectangular div, this and the rest of them, in which you're going to focus on. We have another div that goes this way. This is another div. So our simple website is all about how do we arrange all these div to achieve a lovely and suitable web application. So this is another div that goes like this. So you can see how these divs are being divided. I think we have another one this way, we have another one down this way. So this arrangement can only be possible with the help of CSS. So we can only type whatever we want. Then we'll now use CSS to position them to make them look nice. That's the major thing about this div. So we also make use of other elements which we'll still discuss as we are working in explaining some of these things we are talking about. So now we look at this is another clone, simple YouTube website I would like us to look at. trying to understand how the divs looks and what are the makeups. So we found out that we still have what another straight div that goes this way, in which they place some of the icons, their menu bar, their this thing logo. We have their menu bar. We have this their YouTube logo. We have the search bar inside this one div. So we have our other contents that matters. So at the same time, I think we'll have another div in which the video is being placed. So we'll have another nice div, a rectangular div. We'll have another div under this place. So these are multiple divs that we will try to understand as we create this work, as we are working. So we'll have another div like this. So looking at this div, so but there's something they did here I think we're still going to look at. We found that this place will have a scroll bar. So mean that they gave this week a specific height, this particular div here, this one from here to here. So this div will have here, they gave it what a specific height, and now say that any other content that comes inside it, inside this place will have multiple divs, components. So we'll have series of div or component depending on what we want to. So I think as we advance, we'll try to understand what is this component when I say components. But for now, let's just be calling it div. So have multiple of them. So when they are, we gave it a specific, they gave it a specific height. So now, once contents are more than what we have here, we are now telling that it should be able to create this scroll bar for us, so that we can now scroll and see more content instead of going down. So that's a kind of simple arrangement and understanding of div for you to take note. At the same time, looking at this YouTube, you still find that in this aspect, all these things are also still what div you arranged with CSS. So we'll still have them. You can see it. Don't mind me, even though I'm not drawing it as expected. But at least I just believe that you are seeing what I'm talking of. So we'll have multiple of them. What matters is how we arrange them at the end of the day. Coming to this section, I think we'll have this div that goes this way. So it's your choice. And take note of this horizontal line that is dark. There is a horizontal line that goes on top of it. We'll explain most of these things. We have another, I think, there's another div like this. So these are some of the things that we'll be focusing on, trying to understand as we continue diving into this. So as we continue, find that now I think we have given some a little uh, basic understanding of what div is all about. So now we'll try to create our div. Let's see how this div and in real life how it works. So I can inside this body, I can decide to do what? Create my first div. You can have multiple div as you want. And you do what? Close, like I told you. Anything you open, you close. I can say something like this is my heading. So this number first div I have. I can as well create another div by doing what? Opening and creating again div. I close. I can say something like what? This is a this is a don't even know, second menu. We close. Please don't try to do it this one, and what I did now is wrong. Once you open, try to close, then you write the content inside. I think I prefer it that way, so that you don't end up forgetting to close a particular div or not. So without wasting of time, I can do something like copy, it's just my choice, and I can click enter just to create multiple of them, paste. So I have, maybe this is what third main, this is a third, this is, let me use my second menu and my third menu. So we'll still have this content. Maybe I'll take away this content. So currently we are having three good divs. So we'll try to check it out. I do Control X save to make sure that this document is safe. And now you can see that blue color I'm telling you that this one provides. If I type anything here now, it changes to red because it's noticing that there is a new content added to this work we are doing that I've not taken note of, have not been saved. So till we save it, if I do Control S, it will save. Then that you even if you close this file, you cannot lose it again. So now we remove it out like save. We go back to our we go back to what our browser will refresh. We can comfortably see those three things we have designed, three things we have created, those three divs. So the next thing I think next video we'll be looking at, we'll look at what how we can now be able to place these divs, maybe arrange them, add color to them, add certain things to them at the end of the day. So that's what we'll be looking at in the next video. Mean that how we start applying CSS to add some content, some style, and whatever in it. So, but before we go, maybe let me just add when another content to this, make us understand some basic things. Another element that you can see in inside HTML. So we have another one we called button. So whenever this is also a tag, so we'll do what we close. So what does this button do? I can say something inside of it, the content inside of it, which is what? Click me. When we save this and check, what are we seeing? We find that we are seeing a simple button that is clickable, like saying click me, click me, click me. So this is another simple HTML elements, the content that we're going to be, as we go on, we'll be looking at some of these elements and the rest of them. So thank you so much and God bless you for watching.